I find that two hard industries are food and finances, because if you get someone's food wrong, they're not too happy. And if you mess around with someone's money, they're not that happy either.
The time is now. Welcome to the Time is Now podcast. Thank God, my friends, we can all be here together today. I'm Dr. Slava Shut, CEO, entrepreneur, doctor of physical therapy, and your host. And on this podcast, I like to speak to entrepreneurs to find out what makes them tick, how they became successful, and things about them on their daily life. Let's get to it. We have a special guest today, Luigi D'Acunto, an ex-banker turned mortgage professional with 7+ years in the financial industry. Wow. He's an avid reader, fitness enthusiast, and a positive lifestyle promoter. And I can't wait to ask him some questions. Let's get into it. Please, Luigi, tell us about you, promote yourself, give it to us. Where can we find you? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so it's hard to come in after that intro. So thank you for the kind words and everything there. I'm excited to be here today. A little bit about me. So I've been in finance for, like I said, 7+ years, worked for two of the top banks in Canada. So I'm based out of Ontario. I switched over to the mortgage brokerage side about a year ago or so, and we're just really building there. It allowed me to spread my wings a little bit more, have more control over what I wanted to market myself as, to really go out and chase and hunt my own business, my clients, allow to do more for them. What I like about this side compared to being a bank is the fact that I'm able to be in contact with more than just one bank or one lender. So it's rare, very rare that I completely say no to a client, because if it doesn't work here, then we go there. If it doesn't work there, then we go somewhere else, right? So being able to truly help my clients. And previously to that, big sports guy, played hockey my whole life. From there, played soccer, basketball, football, any sport I was pretty much involved in. Fell in love with the gym, had a little bit of an identity crisis early on, because when you stop playing a sport and you're on the ice 5 times a week, I was like, well, I don't know what the hell to do with myself anymore. So fell in love with the gym. That was more so in my late teens, early 20s. So I've been working out consistently for over 10 years as well. And, it's crazy how the first few years, it's more of that aesthetic feel, but now it's like, I don't want to say I could care less about how I look, because there's always some level of wanting to care, but it's so much more of a mental game now, and it truly relates to your everyday life, right? So big into fitness, staying healthy, working hard, having fun, and everything that comes with it.
So often we talk about in entrepreneurship, you'll hear a lot of big masterminds, a lot of big speakers now. They're big, they're jacked, there's a lot of talk. And I talk about this myself when I speak, that how you act in the gym in many ways is how you act in business. So right. If you let yourself go and the gym is not even a priority, most likely neither is somewhere in business. Right. If you're hitting it hard in the gym, I promise you, as an entrepreneur, you could hit it hard in business.
Yeah.
So I want to get into it a little bit. A lot of people understand what a real estate agent is,
Right.
And they know kind of their role. What is little known is what on earth is a mortgage broker, and, how do they fit into the whole buying a house and things like that? So can you elaborate for the simple-minded of us, take us, what is a mortgage person and how do they fit into the whole scheme of buying a house?
Yeah. So I like to say that the mortgage person, may get some hate for this, but a lot of the mortgage agents, they truly quarterback the play, right? So your conversation with your mortgage agent or broker should be stop number one. And the reason being is you don't want to go and look at a house or a property that you can't afford, right? So you want to go and you get all excited, you get jacked up, and then you come back and be like, oh, wow, that house is $1 million. I can only afford $750. It's like, well, if you would have came here first, you never would have got there anyways, right? And a lot of realtors appreciate when you show up saying, hey, I have a pre-qualification or I'm already pre-approved. This is what I'm looking for. Let's go shopping, because on that front, they actually know they're not wasting their time at the end of the day either, right? Something may happen, but for the event, you understand that you're actually have your decks in a row and you started off on level 1 to level 2. So really, to make it really simple, your first stop should be to a mortgage agent. They will tell you what you can afford what you can afford to buy, what's comfortable on a month-to-month basis, and they will tell you if anything were to happen potentially in the future based on what cash flow conversation you do have, then you go and find the property, put an offer in, you get the approval, you have all that good stuff. You go back to the mortgage agent. They actually are the ones to give you the money for the property and the mortgage. And so they're a pretty big deal throughout the whole process, right? You want to make sure, to elaborate a little bit more, you have a good mortgage agent, realtor, and lawyer, and the three of them are a good team for you, because there's the ones that are really going to help you, even if it's your first home or if it's your 100th home if you're an investor. So you want to make sure you have a good group of individuals working for your best needs, right?
That's fantastic. So, obviously it's very important. There's no doubt about that. But, as a little boy, I know you weren't running around like, man, I wish in the future when I get older, besides being Superman, I want to be a mortgage broker, right? Being an agent sometimes is really cool. There's shows on TV about $1 million agents and, high price homes, but you're more important in many ways, right? So how did you get interested in this side?
So the way that I got interested in this side is, I'm going to relate back to my banking days. So when I started off in the banks, I was like 18, 19 years old. I was fairly young. So I was working part-time as your bank teller. I was managing your bank books, doing the deposits for you. And then from there, I just kind of grew into it. And you learn a lot in the bank. One thing I will say, that working for the two banks that I did, you learn a lot being there in person. You learn how to sell. You learn how to talk to people. You learn how to really be a chameleon in any room, because you're talking to them about something that's very important to them. I find that two hard industries is food and finances, because if you get someone's food wrong, they're not too happy, and if you mess around with someone's money, they're not that happy either, right? So
Right.
being involved in that, there's always so much you want to grow, but I prefer talking about the mortgages and the real estate prior, or more so than the investment side, because I found that is just a little bit more interesting. So being and working through the banks, I just fell in love with the lending process, how many people you truly get to help, the conversation you have when you tell your client, hey, you're approved, and just the joy that comes out of their voice, right? And there's the downsides to come of it too, but I like being able to work by myself, but also be a part of a team to truly help my client get into that first home, get into that retirement, that secondary home, or whatever it may be. So growing up in the banks, I really chose to specialize in the lending aspect, and it's been the most fun for me.
So first-time homeowners probably make the most mistakes, right? Seasoned people, they kind of know what they're doing. You walk in, bada bing, bada boom, I imagine. What is the biggest mistake that first-time home buyers make?
I would say the first or the biggest mistake is that they go house searching prior to knowing what they can actually afford.
Right.
Right. From that to I wouldn't even call it a mistake, because even some seasoned people don't understand it either, but they truly don't understand what goes into the whole application itself. Like the approval, that's the easy part. It's everything afterwards, getting it past the finish line, talking to the appraisal to make sure that the house actually gets appraised at the value you need it for, making sure you're dealing with a good lawyer, making sure that the realtor understands what's going on in their side as well too. So finding that, not making the right step and coming to speak to one agent first, you're shooting for the stars. You don't really know what you can afford and what not can afford, and then you fall in love with a house, you come back, you don't get approved for much. It makes that conversation a bit harder than what it should have been in the first place.
Right. So right now, like I'm in LA, it's almost impossible, some people say, to buy a home, even first-time home buyers. I'm an investor and I'm shooting down things left and right. It is not good with the prices being super inflated, and then interest rates through the roof. I mean, I'm not sure what our government's trying to do except for create a housing market problem, but they're doing a great job of that. So I don't know what it's like in Canada, but I could tell you in America, and especially cities like Los Angeles, first-time home owners are really jaded right now, and they're really skittish. So can you lighten the mood a little bit and tell us about some hope and some things that you're hearing from your professional experience? What can I tell my listeners who are first-time home buyers? Is there hope right now? Is there, what should we do? What's going on?
Yeah, I can definitely say there's a lot of hope. And on putting a positive spin on it is whenever the rates do climb, right, the actual value of the home start to dip, right? So if you are someone that's been on the sidelines, that you have some funds and you're able to put down, you're able to find some good deals that are going to be happening, right? Now, at least speaking on Canada, like on our point of view, we're potentially going to start bringing down our rates, or what that's what everyone's crystal ball is saying early next spring. So I'm hoping that it relates back into America as well because we are neighbors. So it's really on the clients that we've been speaking, especially the pre-approvals and the first-time home buyers, is really getting to know your numbers early and getting to set a plan sooner rather than later, right? So if you know what the potential of your home buying power is, then finding the news later on won't be that hard as a blow. And there's a lot of opportunity to be a rise. And one thing I do like to say is take it away is in this era, there hasn't been an easier way to make money with so many availabilities to remote work, to drive for Uber Eats, or anything, side hustles galore. There's always a way to make more money. It's just you really have to be hungry and you have to buckle down to go through it. I definitely believe in grinding out for a few years to get that ball really going. Like any entrepreneur, you're gonna be in the deep end, you're gonna be shallow. You have to really push through, and it relates back to that mental toughness as well as the toughness in the gym for the workouts and all that kind of stuff as well too, right?
Right.
So there always is positivity. I definitely believe that. It's just up to us to find it and look for it. So getting informed early, kind of putting your head down, putting in the work, saving where you can, it definitely is going to be an upside to that whole process.
Right. And I agree with you. In some places, prices may drop, but there's places in LA, they're still climbing and
Yeah,
the interests are going up. The renters market is going up tremendously. So anybody in, multifamily dwellings, you know, all they're doing right now is making the rich more rich, to be honest
mhm,
with you, because people who have money are still finding investments and they're still renting out properties, right?
right.
So, which is contributing cash flow. They're still getting, depreciation um, on their homes and their properties, which is negating some of the taxes. So the
Yeah,
rich are still doing just fine, but the
yeah,
people without money, as usual, are trying to find that struggle in case the home prices go down with increased interest rates. I haven't seen that in Los Angeles yet, but there are parts of the country where it has come down a little bit. So, there's definitely a lot of value in what you just said. We just have to hold tight,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you have to save the right way.
yeah.
But there are potential investments out there. There are potential home buying, you know, potentials, I could say.
Right, right.
Tell me about your fitness routine. I want to know, you've been working out for a little while. Let us
Yeah,
know like some of the insights of a little bit of your routine, kind of the things that you do. How's it changed over the years?
yeah.
How's it been your fitness routine?
Yeah, so I started out like the typical 6, 7 day week bodybuilding program, the Arnold Schwarzenegger, the one body part per day, and I was doing that for a few years. Then from there, I went back. I went down to like a push pull legs routine. So I'd always have the strength and the weightlifting were always like top of the chain. Then after a few years of doing that, I played around with body fats, bulking, cutting, all that kind of stuff. And actually, a fact about me, I actually took my nutrition course by Precision Nutrition, where an online company, they teach you how to like, I want to say glorifying the counting your macros and kind of understanding which nutrients work better, all that kind of stuff. So did a little bit of that research, kind of did some testing on myself too. Then I incorporated intermittent fasting a few years ago as well and fell in love with that process. Then I tried CrossFit for a bit. So that was that was entertaining. So didn't last too long. I got injured about 6 months in. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to to my regular routine. And I've ran a couple of marathons. So it was cool to put
Nice.
cardio at the forefront of my fitness routine and then the weights on the back. So that was actually more of a mental battle than anything else because I was so used to just wanting to go in, lift heavy, look good, and leave. And I never really focused on cardio. And as of a few months ago, I switched over to more of a minimalistic routine. So 3 days a week, I'm hitting at least 10 to 15,000 steps a day, and I'm really just paying attention to my diet, my macros, my micros, all that kind of stuff. And I've actually recently started with I believe it's called IV therapy, where they inject nutrients right into the bloodstream, and I've noticed a lot of good benefits from that too. So as of right now, I'll wake up around, let's say, 5:30 to 6. I'll get a couple hours of work in. I'll hit the gym around 12. After my session, I'll come home. That's my first meal. I'll break my fast with a protein, fat, or some
Right.
source there, and then I'll have my feast for dinner. So I'm really only eating twice, maybe 3 times a day, but I'm making sure I'm eating a lot of food at nighttime, and wash, rinse, and repeat the next day.
Nice. So do you find when you add a lot of that cardio training for a marathon that you have a hard time maintaining the muscle mass?
Yeah. The weight flew off, and I'm an easy gainer already. So the minute I started running that, and I was running tech gains before work, so I was going. I found that my strength wasn't crazy in difference, to be honest with you, but my size was definitely. I felt stringy. I felt straw. I personally didn't like that body type.
Yeah.
That's why it won't last. I don't see too many more marathons
Right.
coming in my future.
That's what I'm going to say. Cause you threw it in there a few times, but it's not that important, but it's pretty important. When you
Yeah.
start noticing, that some of the muscle mass that you work so hard for starts to diminish a little bit. You start getting lean is good, but you start getting thin, right?
Yeah.
And you start marathon.
Yeah.
Peace. See you later. We're gonna push that aside a little bit, get back to the weights and stuff like that. Listen, I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, you could do cardio, you could go old school, you could do whatever you want. If it's not your goal, there's nothing better than
Mhm.
weight training in some sort of fashion, either like the CrossFit style, let's say for circuits and things like that. The bodybuilding still works. It always works. It will always work because of the physiology of what it's doing. It will always work for hypertrophy. So if you want to change your body style, the way you look, weight training is the key, folks. You could argue with me all day, but it works. Let me ask you a question. You
Yeah.
know, one of the ways that we kind of found each other, and obviously we probably did a little research on each other. You have a presence on TikTok, and I'm noticing that a lot of mortgage people are kind of headed towards that TikTok platform. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about, how you're doing on TikTok and the things that, what message you're trying to get across on TikTok? And, is it one of your biggest go-tos as far as advertising yourself?
Yeah, so you know what? I actually fell in love. I found TikTok a couple of years ago, messing around with some friends. We used to do just a couple of just dumb videos, all that kind of stuff that was going on. And I saw the interest and the amount of volume you can get from just using just the app itself, right? And then from there, once I started marketing myself in a more of a professional in a way of like the expert online to help, especially anybody in my area, whoever wants to talk. I've been seeing that I've had a lot of traction with it, and I'm gaining a following pretty quick on that too. And just watching my insights and my analytics of my videos being shared and all that kind of stuff, it's really helping. I'm truly trying to utilize that page to just put out as much valuable content as I possibly can. With mortgage, it's a bit hard because you kind of have to take a general approach. Although everyone's situation is different, I try to relate kind of client examples and in that front too. But really, I find that mortgages and real estate as a whole is so big for the person just stepping into it, and I really try to like almost dumb it down so it doesn't seem as that intimidating. So whether a client wants to come use me as a broker or they want to go somewhere else, they feel empowered and confident knowing that they at least know some things that the individual is speaking to them about too, and they're not trying to take them for a fast one. So right now I utilize TikTok as like my growth platform, and Instagram is where I nurture any clients that I've helped or any I guess audience that I already have, and I can kind of directly get to them one on one. But I have found TikTok as a good way to say a small amount of information to a mass amount of an audience.
I think it's great. Social media is wonderful. Have you noticed that, slowly but surely, we're getting into this technological age. We're doing these TikToks, these Instagrams, these platforms. Have you noticed that people are starting to crave to the natural humanistic engagement again? I mean, while everybody's zigging, going digital, 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 have you noticed that people are craving to come back to some human interaction?
I definitely have, and TikTok and Instagram, the social, it's one of the ways that I network with my clients. I'm always out on the road. I'm having lunches, having coffees, doing that kind of stuff, and actually meeting people for it too. But what I am finding that can kind of tie the both together is you can no longer sell through online just by like, oh, look what I have, look at my car, look at my this. It's now you have to let the humility come out of you in your videos. So now people want to do work with someone they can truly trust. Like the one of my sayings, like, I'm not going to work with you if I don't want to grab a beer with you. If I want to grab a beer with you, yeah, I'm going to want to work with you because you seem like we can connect and whatever it may be too, right? So I think we're in an interesting time because we're able to make our content seem relatable for our clients and audience and anyone just watching us. And we can kind of touch upon that in-person reaction and in-person confrontation. But I think there's definitely a place for both, and we're finally starting to almost kind of put it together.
I think it's amazing. There's definitely a mesh. It has its place. I'm finding as a doctor, more and more people are coming out. More and more people are moving from telemedicine. Telemedicine is still popular in some ways. I'm not going to take anything away from it, but I have more and more people coming in craving that human interaction again, that human contact, that human, interaction. It'll never, in my opinion, go away because human nature is human nature. We did that experiment when people were forced, and it was great for a little while. And I have even the most hardcore people who were in their house, didn't want to leave, were scared out of their minds, are now coming in, and they want human interaction. They're done with it. Kids are like, this was great for a little while, that experiment. Oh, no more school. I guess I could be in my pajamas. They wear pajamas to school anyway, so it doesn't matter. But that's a big thing now. I don't know if you know that, but kids are wearing pajamas to school. Like it's mind blowing.
Did not know.
It's crazy. But either way, at least they have their friends right there, and they're all wearing pajamas together.
100%.
So let's play a game. One of the games I like to play, we like to keep it loose over here, is Would You Rather, the home edition. All right. So now everyone's probably heard of this game before. We've played it before. You're given two options. They have to choose the one you'd rather have. But we're putting a fun twist on this one and doing a home version. So, ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
All right. So, number one, would you rather have a basement that always floods or have a random staircase that leads nowhere?
Oh,
that's a tough one.
I go for the staircase.
I mean, you will be really fit. Talk about a marathon. I mean, you're gonna be taking the staircase. You don't even know where it goes and how far.
Yeah, you're just going. You're just going.
Mind-blowing. That's like a treadmill right there. All right, that's cool. All right, number two. Would you rather have little popcorn ceilings or plastic furniture covers you can never remove?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with the popcorn ceilings just because it reminds me of my childhood home, and I have my grandparents, actually Italian grandparents, had plastic on the couches. Was not comfortable by any means, so I'm going with the popcorn ceilings.
I've been to friends' houses that they had the room that you can't enter.
Oh yeah.
Plastic furniture on the room you can't enter. It's just mind blowing. I don't understand it. Like, is it like to take pictures of? I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful room. It's like immaculate, but no one can step foot into it. So you're like losing square footage of your home that no one can enter, but it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's like window shopping. You're just gonna walk by, admire it, and just keep going.
Like, that is one beautiful room that no one can enter. I love it. I love it. Okay, one more. Would you rather have a tiny home or a 12-bedroom home that you have to clean yourself?
Oh, tiny home all day.
I mean, I'm not even sure what tiny home means, but okay, a 12-bedroom home would be very hard to clean, especially if you have to do it yourself.
So, yeah, that's just more time cleaning the house than you actually get to enjoy it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where can we find you? Can you plug yourself? And, when people need help, people need advice. I know you're a value guy. I've seen your stuff, so where can we find you where we can find value on the mortgage business and get a hold of you? May your business boom and boom and boom.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, same username. It's LUIGII.DACU. So it's Luigi.Dacu. On Facebook, it's just Luigi D'Acunto, just my name. My page is on there. And my website is mortgageswithlu.com or .ca. And all of my contacts, all my information, all my socials are all on there. I'm not hiding. So I'm very easy to find.
That's beautiful. And we need to find you because you're a wealth of knowledge. So any last words of wisdom, anything that you want to share with the audience, anything that you want to tell us, leave us with a bang.
Yeah, you know what? I just want to first of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the show. It's been great. And my bang would be, sit tight, but work hard at the same time. I definitely believe in taking fast steps in the micro, but truly being patient for the macro. One thing that I really had a lot of hard time with is being patient. I always wanted things to just go fast, right? It's just truly put one foot in front of the other. Not everything has to be that scary. All you need to see is truly your next step, and you will get to where you're going. And I'll leave off with a quote. So one of my favorite quotes, I don't know who it's by, but I'm not going to take credit for it. It's the person who loves walking always goes further than the person who loves the destination. So enjoy the journey, enjoy the highs, the lows, and everything in between, because you'll truly be better for it.
That's beautiful. I love that quote. That's so nice. I've actually never heard that, but it resonates, and it's close to some other things I've heard and actually said. So that's a very beautiful saying. I love that. I love how you internalize that. Thank you. I appreciate your time, and you've been awesome. If you need anything from me, please let me know. So be sure to like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening, make sure to rate us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you for listening to Time Is Now podcast with me, Dr. Slava Shut. And remember to tune in every Friday at 2 p.m. and send in your questions to Dr. Slava Shut on Twitter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.